This is an important meeting. It's an important time, and I'm delighted to have a chance to talk a little bit about our perspective on transatlantic relations. I have to say, Pavel, there's a lot that I'm prepared to do to support European Union and the growing integration of Europe, but I think along with Corey Pavin, I would say just wait till next time. I really am pleased to be here in Wroclaw. It's a very fitting place, I think, to have this kind of conference. It's been a crossroads of empires for a long time, and it has been a very vivid part of the changing political geography of Europe for centuries. But as Fred said, and others have observed, it's now at the heart and the center of Europe, and that, I think, is really as more vivid a demonstration of what the changes have been than anything else we could point to. It's an important time to be here. It's 21 years since the fall of the Berlin Wall, and I think it's fair to say, as we think of 21 years as a rite of passage from childhood and youth to adulthood, that this part of Europe really has come of age, and it is now a full adulthood, a time in which the children of 1989, the countries of the former Warsaw Pact, have made their moves, and we've gone past the Cold War world to a time where old divisions have been erased. The anxieties about whether these former Warsaw Pact countries could make the transition to market democracies has been conclusively, unequivocally answered, and nowhere more clearly than here in Poland. As we've already heard, the vanguard of transformation from the days of solidarity to the extraordinary resilience and confidence in democracy that you've shown in the face of this recent national tragedy is a testament to what Poland has achieved. And it's really worth, even as we look forward over these next days in these conversations to the future challenges, to reflect back and give praise where praise is due. What my daughters would call a shout out to Poland and the other countries of Central Europe because of what you've achieved, but also what we continue to do together to advance our common goal of a Europe whole and free. As Fred observed, I've had the chance over the last 2 days to visit in now 3 of the 4 partners in the Visegrad process in Hungary and Slovakia, as well as here. And I can tell you from this firsthand tour that the commitment to democracy and market economics remains vibrant and strong in this region. You've moved from consumers of security to providers of security and a model to your neighbors both to the east and to the south. You're strong transatlantic partners as we meet and face the difficult challenges we're doing together through NATO and Afghanistan. You're showing a path of tolerance as you reach out to create more inclusive societies, including the need to grapple with integrating the Roma people of the region. We welcome the reinvigoration of the V4 process as a part of the broader European and transatlantic construction. Central Europe's success remains at the heart of the European and transatlantic project, and we in the United States are committed to work as your partners in completing the work of European and transatlantic construction, and to our equally important task in working as core partners in meeting the global challenges of the future. So now I do want to turn to the future and reflect on the emerging political and economic geography of our transatlantic community, which remains a community of values as well as a community of interest. It's obviously appropriate to begin with the European space itself, and not only to reflect on how much we achieved through the enlargement of the EU and NATO, through our engagement with Eastern partners, as well as our common reset with Russia. I think those are important achievements and gives us a good platform for going forward, and I think have answered the critics about those choices that we made, as Fred said, in the 1990s. But we can't ignore the remaining challenges because this work needs to be completed. And one important part of that, which, as Fred noted, I've spent quite a bit of time on since becoming Deputy Secretary, is the integration of the Western Balkans into our European and transatlantic structures. This is a moment of opportunity, in my judgment. There are a number of forces at work that I think give us a chance to see this transformation completed, with the prospect of Croatia's accession to the EU, either in the Slovakian or the Polish presidency of the EU. We look forward to that. With, I think, the very positive momentum coming out of the recent General Assembly that gives us hopes for new pragmatic engagement between Serbia and Kosovo to try to move forward in a practical way to build relations there. to the elections that have taken place in Bosnia, which were largely meeting all the standards that we hold democracies to, and creates an opportunity for the new leaders there to come together to work in a pragmatic way to overcome their past differences and to provide for the people of Bosnia and Herzegovina the European and transatlantic future that they deserve, to the opportunity to get past the name issue and move forward with Skopje's inclusion in European and transatlantic structures. That's, of course, an important challenge in the Balkans, but we also have this important work to build our ties to the East. And as was mentioned, this is an important period coming up, both through Slovakia's chairmanship of the V4 and then Hungary's presidency of the EU, which will have a particular focus on the European Partnership and the Eastern Partnership Initiative, something which the United States supports strongly and wants to work closely with our European partners to make progress on. We need to make progress on the frozen conflicts. It's time to move past these relics of our past and to try to find, again, pragmatic solutions, whether it's in the Transnistria or in the Caucasus through the Minsk process, to bring peace and stability and opportunity to the people of our neighborhood. And finally, there is a critical opportunity in the weeks and months ahead to strengthen the institutions of our multilateral cooperation. And I focus in particular on three key upcoming summits that we're going to participate in together, beginning with the Lisbon NATO Summit, an opportunity to demonstrate very clearly the ongoing vitality of NATO through the adoption of a new strategic concept, which will focus on the twin tasks of retaining our commitment to collective defense in Article 5 while preparing ourselves to deal with the new threats of the 21st century, and to make sure that that strategic concept is complemented by making sure that NATO has the capabilities to meet those missions and challenges, as well as the streamlined and reformed structures that it needs to do this efficiently and effectively in the face of the, obviously, serious financial challenges that we all face. Lisbon will also be a time for us to come together and reaffirm our commitment to our mission in Afghanistan and our common task that has been so important to our own security and which we have committed to do together in concept and in execution. Second, we have a summit coming up of the OSCE, and while it's received less attention, it's something that I personally have been involved in coming out of the Corfu process, an opportunity both to revalidate the basic principles behind the OSCE and the centrality of all three pillars of the OSCE, the human rights, political, and economic dimensions, and to remind ourselves of the value of an institution that can help support political reform, economic development, and institutional change throughout our region and in its periphery, and to demonstrate our continued commitment to the values that are enshrined in the Helsinki Final Act, as well as to move forward on both the OSCE and related security challenges as we look to find a way to update the CFE and make sure that we continue to move forward on a more stable and peaceful Europe. This meeting will not be the end of a process. It will be the beginning of a process of establishing a new agenda forward for the OSCE, but one to which we attach great importance and which Secretary Clinton will participate on behalf of the United States. In the third of these important summits coming up later this fall is the US-EU summit, a reaffirmation of the critical role that our partnership sustains, particularly in the post-Lisbon environment, where we have begun to develop even closer ties with the new and strengthened institutions of the EU, particularly in the areas of foreign policy and development. The Secretary just recently hosted Lady Ashton again for one of the many, many meetings that we have had since she assumed office. And it reaffirmed the breadth of our global partnership, from the challenges of development to crisis management to counterterrorism to dealing with the nuclear problem of Iran, the Middle East peace process, climate change, and so many others.